Melih Oztalay, who actually is my webmaster, my social media guru, a partner on another software as a service venture that we're developing. We won't go into that because what we're going to talk about today is something I had to actually do some research on, Chat GPT, because it's so new. I think October, November of last year. However, I have been reading some stories that universities are beginning to ban it now because it writes people's papers rather than the student writing the paper, right?
Mike, great to be on your show again. And this is a very interesting topic that's kind of, I find it interesting that it kind of took shape after ChatGPT came to the market. What's interesting is the fact that AI-related writing tools have been on the market for a lot longer than that. I'm still not entirely clear why ChatGPT got all the attention when it came to the market, but you got another one that's been out there for a while. It's called Jasper. They've been out there for that, pretty much doing the very similar type things. Market Muse, Versado, Writer. I mean, the list kind of goes on and on in terms of other tools that have been on the market. But certainly, ChatGPT got all the attention in the last 6 months. I have used it, and yes, you can pretty much write an entire paper from scratch. If you go to ChatGPT's website, you have to open an account. It's not a big deal. Type in anything. Type in a subject. This is kind of like what I did. I actually wrote a 1,800-page article the other day about search engine
page.
I'm sorry. Sorry, my bad.
That's a novella, So
yeah. Sorry, 1,800-word article the other day on search engine optimization and conversion rate optimization. So how do you combine the two? So I asked it to come up with a title. I asked it to come up with a introduction. Then I asked it 5 specific questions, of which it gave me gobs of information. All I had to do is literally take everything and copy and paste it. One of my questions was, please give me a list of websites, for X, Y, and Z topic. That came along with it. Then I said, write a conclusion. Wrote the conclusion. So as long as I started with a topic and worked my way down, all of a sudden 1,800 words were written in 10 minutes.
Wow.
Now, did I tweak it? Of course I tweaked it. But think about the amount of time it would take to research and write 1,800 words. There's no way I could get it done in 10 minutes, let alone
10
2
days,
hours.
maybe, so
that too, that's possible. So everything was there for me. Now, here's an interesting twist. I asked it to write about conversion rate optimization. It had no knowledge on that topic. I had to change the language to lead generation for that particular piece of that term. And it provided all the information. Like I said, a little bit of tweaking and, on my part, maybe another 20 minutes or so. And all of a sudden, this whole article was written. It's this space of artificial intelligence relative to providing text copy is amazing. So this was one real world example I've got, and never mind the fact that, you've got very high profiled publications that are writing about this. Axios is writing about it, The Drum, Bloomberg. Take your pick. Everybody's out there is bringing ChatGPT to the forefront. And just in case that wasn't a real world experience, there's now a WordPress plugin for the very same thing. Huh. And so this weekend, just because I was going to be on the show, I said, well, let me try this. And so I installed the plugin on our website, and literally, the plugin has more features than I think what you get on ChatGPT's website. But again, same scenario. An entire article was written as a blog post, from the title to the table of contents, the meta tags, the meta description, the conclusion. If I wanted a table of contents, it was going to write that too. Everything was there inside of this AI tool within the WordPress plugin. Never mind the fact that it will also generate an image from you. There's another website that does image generation, or what they're calling generative artificial intelligence. And it's called DAL-E, and that creates images. So you just tell it what type of image you want, and it will prepare it. The plugin did a phenomenal job because you can choose your options. You can say, do you want it generalistic? Do you want it energetic? Do you? It's got all these writing styles on top of that. And the same thing with the image generator. You can pick what type of, image you want, from going back to, the old popular, Renoirs and so on and so forth that would write, that would develop pictures, or, oil paintings and so on and so forth. It just mind-boggling what all of these things can do right now.
How is that? How can a business use that then? What would you suggest?
Well, I think, based on where we are today, the idea is to use it for developing content efficiently and effectively, very quickly. And what would take a human being to write an article, or somebody in your staff to write, let's say, and spend an hour and a half putting together a blog article, now all of a sudden that same person is going to be able to wrap everything up in less than 30 minutes. And so I think the starting point is to develop content. You can do text-based content. I think that's perfect from a business standpoint. If you want to write a white paper on one of your topics, and develop case studies from other sources, do that as well. So that you get that scenario working for you. This idea of generating images, I can tell you that even from our standpoint as a marketing agency, one of the things that we're always struggling with is trying to find an image that can be associated with a blog article. Now
that isn't copyrighted, right? That's the tricky part.
Right, exactly. Yeah. That's not copyrighted, or doesn't have a license requirement or whatever. And so now all of a sudden you've got an AI that is able to put together the image for you in a manner that you feel is appropriate for you. And so this content development in these two scenarios, I think, is important for most businesses. Blog articles, maybe even white papers. I don't know that it could do a case study, but maybe it can find case studies from other sources.
Yeah.
And then the image generator, I think, is pretty wild too. There is one more thing that's very interesting, and I don't know if the audience has heard about this, but in the past week there were images on social media about a party. The entire party was fake. All of the attendees that were shown in these pictures were fake. They were all AI generated. Huh. You needed to really hone in on the pictures that you saw that were being shared to figure out that none of these pictures were real.
It's called a deep fake, right? Deep fake?
Yeah, deep fake. Exactly. Yeah. So when you really zoomed in on the image, on these photos, you could see that, for example, somebody actually had 6 fingers instead of 5. So the AI wasn't able to really get to a point that it was generating the images perfectly. But if you didn't zoom in and look at the details of the photos, the human beings in the photos were real. They're laughing, they're enjoying themselves, they had something to drink, they're dressed as though they're at a party, and you wouldn't have known any different.
Pretty scary, huh?
In the wrong hands. I agree.
So we got about 5 minutes left. So as a marketing company, how can you use this, or how can your clients use this, would you say?
Yeah, I think I think the starting point is this idea that one of the things that we've always struggled with is, hey, do you have a budget to write 4 articles a month, for example? Mm-hmm. And the client will say, well, no, how about if we do 2, that type of a thing. And it does take time to do the research, gather the information, write the article, get it approved by the client, get it back with edits and so on and so forth. So the process to develop this content is time consuming and labor intensive. So now I think what the scenario would be is that, okay, the client turns around and says, hey, I got the budget for 2 articles, but we're going to turn around and maybe we can give them that 4 because the other 2 aren't going to take as long. We're not going to have to do all the research around it. We put in a topic, we gather the information, whether it's through that plugin I was just mentioning to you, or through ChatGPT directly. In either direction, all of a sudden we can knock out an article in 10 minutes, make some tweaks, send it to the client, check the plagiarism, make sure that there's nothing wrong with it. But in 30 minutes, you got something wrapped up. So can we add another 2 articles a month at no additional cost to the client? And the answer is, I think we can do it. And it's when it comes to digital marketing, content is king. The more of you that is out there, the higher the probability that people will find you, the higher the probability that you're going to get business and sales. And so content is king. The more, the merrier. And so, if you're able to do 4 articles a month instead of 2, that's great. If your budget was 4 articles, maybe now we can do 8, right? That type of a thing. I think there's a lot of efficiency to be gained here that can be translated to budgets. I think it's mind-boggling.
All right. So you got them all excited. How can they get in touch with SmartFinds Marketing? Melih, take it away.
First of all, you can find me on LinkedIn. That's usually the best place to reach me. And my name is Melih Oztalay, which is spelled Melih, and my last name is Oztalay, which is O, Z as in zebra, T as in Tom, ALAY. I'm sure if you just type in Oztalay, you're going to find me. And
I don't think there's a lot of them out there. I could be wrong.
No, I agree.
I
agree.
So
our website is at smartfindsmarketing.com, and we have a lot of exciting things going on in terms of conversion rate optimization, search engine optimization. And recently, last week, we were named the sole distributor for the sales of a product out of Austria called SmartHolder. And so we're very excited to bring that to the US market.